Hello, and welcome to another monthly reading for people born in June. My name is Dr. Karen, and I do colour readings, amongst other things. Each month, I attempt a general reading based on the colours that are selected for you, and hopefully they will give you some guidance as to how to manage some of the turmoil that occurs in everyday life. If you're new here, you're in for something that you've never experienced before. On the other hand, if you've been here before, welcome back. I'm very, very pleased to see you. I'd like to hear, though, from you in the comments section as to how well, or if not well, these readings are going for you. This month, I'm going to try something a little different, because colour readings are only as good as the questions that are being asked. So let's get into it for you, shall we? This month, I'll be taking a card from the Angel Therapy Oracle, which is made by Doreen Virtue, a famous name within the Oracle community. Very well then, for all of our June babies, people born in the month of June, let's select an Angel Oracle card. And we'll pop it on the here. And now I need some colours that will signify what June people dealt with in 2025 and brought with them into this year, what they dealt with in January and had brought into February, and what's likely to happen in February. And then finally, you need a colour combination to look at what the underlying energy is for people born in June. So we start off with red on purple. And we go from there to orange on green. And then we have white on purple. And the underlying energy is green on black. Very well then. What you brought with you from 2025 is red on purple. Now, purple internally meant that there was a great deal of disruption happening in 2025. There were all sorts of things that you had wanted to do that came to nothing, things that you didn't want to have happen that did. So there was creation and destruction and recreation as an almost constant struggle for you to have to deal with. And in the real world, there were times in which you stood up and you took charge. You demanded certain outcomes. Now, sometimes this comes across as being autocratic and also aggressive. So there were issues here with you wanting to be the boss of everything that required change within your life. By January, that had changed. And instead, we now have orange on green. The disruption that occurred had now become the potential for a whole range of changes, a whole range of opportunities that were allowing themselves to be felt. They weren't there in the real world because this is all internal world, but there was here a need to get a way to make a change. This was oppressive. This was potential. In the real world, however, what you did as a result of that was to take on challenges that you felt you were strong enough to be able to overcome. Orange in the real world has to do with courage and confidence and sociability too. In other words, you could even have been partying along, trying to find new relationships. It's one of the readings that comes from orange and green together. Coming into February, however, those challenges are back. But this time, instead of coming across as the challenges creating some sort of major red, aggressive, potentially bossy response, instead, these challenges now are open. There is just about anything you can put in there. But be careful here, because white and purple together, when we look at it as a combination, has to do with addiction, has to do with going back and doing what you have done before because it worked for you before, without necessarily putting anything new in place that might make the outcomes different. The underlying energy here is green on black, and that is inside yourself. You have never comfortably faced the dark aspect of your own soul. And by retreating away, by closing things off that you will not face, that you will not deal with, in the real world, you're constantly looking for something new, for either relationships or situations or opportunities that will lead you away from this need to look at the dark side of yourself. Green and black together mean that you need to deal with those aspects of yourself that you really don't like, but refuse to examine. So what do we do in order to be able to travel through this potential for reversal back to where you were once before in the past, and possibly back to this sort of situation, is to look at what colours are missing, because they will give you some guidance as to where you could find alternative paths. Well, for a start, you've got black, and you have white, and you have red. Those three are the basic three colours of everybody's existence. Black and white are your basic orientation. Red is the learning to say no, but also demanding what you want. There's no yellow, but you do have green. There's no blue or brown, but you do have orange. There's no grey, you have purple. There's no pink, and there is no cyan. So it's these colours here, these skills and attributes that you are using and have been using over the last few months that are travelling you towards a particular direction. And that direction is the challenge to be overcome of, are you going to revert to earlier ways of doing things, or are you going to allow those disruptions and changes, that the challenges to your equanimity, to head off in different directions, to learn something new, to get a flash of enlightenment and experience and opportunity? Well, these are the colours that will give you those options. If the colour you're dealing with is yellow, as a most liked colour, it's all about putting on a happy face. So if all of these fail, that's your default. You are likely to just simply pretend that things are fine, but you could also spend time in learning something new, in developing some sort of cognitive change that will enable you to gather more information, to digest it, and to come out with some sort of different type of conclusion to the way in which you dealt with things before. As a most disliked colour, it's all about fears, anxieties, about repressed feelings of what you can and cannot handle, or even what you can or cannot want to approach in life. Yellow, as a disliked colour, is never a comfortable place to be. It gives you gut disturbances as well, by the way. Blue, if that is the colour that you're dealing with, as a most liked colour, it has to do with getting yourself organised, all your ducks in a row, everything that needs nurturing and fixing and making sure it's okay. That's the positive side. The negative or most disliked aspect of the colour blue is all about restriction. It's about shut up, do as you're told, get on with the job, don't complain. And in that aspect, it actually creates for you a need to please others by nurturing them, but you fail to nurture yourself. If the color you're dealing with is brown, as a most liked color, it's all about getting your act together, making some goals, creating that list of things that you want to accomplish, and then working towards them, finding the skills, developing the behaviors, actually doing the work that's necessary for you step by step to get to the goals that you have set. As a most disliked color, on the other hand, it's all about wishing and hoping and thinking and praying and doing absolutely nothing. So it's something to be overcome. If brown is your most disliked color, then your greatest need is to get yourself deciding on what it is that you actually want out of life and doing something about heading towards those goals. If the color you're dealing with is gray, gray as a most light color means that you will be treading the middle path. You have one leg in each camp, and you're trying very hard not to make decisions that will upset the status quo. On the other hand, to have grey as the most disliked colour, you're dealing with indecision, with confusion, with uncertainty. You don't want to make any form of contract or decision that locks you into anything. And that's an issue to be overcome. If pink is the colour that you're dealing with, as a most liked colour, it's all about wanting other people to do for you the things that you either cannot or don't want to attempt for yourself. And in many ways, pink as a most liked colour is one that actually attracts others towards you. So people will do things for you because for whatever reason, you are likable, you are lovable. As a negative colour, as one that you dislike, however, it's all about potential illness. And often these are long-term illnesses, chronic conditions. It's a case of you don't like yourself very much and you find it difficult for anybody else to like you either. Pink, when it's a disliked colour, means that you cannot and will not accept assistance from others. And that brings us to cyan. If the colour you're dealing with is cyan, then as the most liked colour, it's all about peace and harmony and things just going along swimmingly without any real input from you. Your circumstances are stable. On the other hand, if this is the disliked colour, then you have a rather unstable life. You are bored. You are stagnant. Nothing is changing. You are finding yourself in a rut and you don't particularly like that situation. So that's the issue that you need to deal with. So the question arises, which of these colours will you choose as your challenge? And which will you choose as your default situation when these colours create the problem for you as a result of the interaction between what's happening in February and the underlying energy? Because those two will create an issue that you need to deal with. So let's now have a look at this oracle card. And for that, I'll need my glasses. The oracle card for June babies is clear yourself. Ask the angels to release any toxic energies that you may have absorbed. Toxic energies that you may have absorbed come specifically from the black underneath. And in order to clear them, you need to go to white, but not just in the real world, also in the internal world. So how do you do that? Well, there's your options. You choose. All right, then. It's been a slightly different way of dealing with the colour reading. But as I said, it's all about the questions that are asked, which brings me to an offer that I made some time ago, and no one's taken me up on it, which is, if you would like a personal colour reading with me, be prepared for some surprises, then please contact me through my email address that I'll leave in the description below this video. I'm not charging for it, and I will take the first 10 people that bother to apply, and they will get a free colour reading. It's up to you to decide whether or not you want to comment on it. It'll certainly be private. I will record them, and I will allow you, as the only person to see them, to let me know what you think. Until we meet again next month for another set of colour readings, and I might change the system again, depending on the questions I want to ask. May the colours that you choose help guide you to where you need to be, as well as where you'd like to be. Until then, bye.